Greetings and salutations, one and all. I am Joe for Florida 14, coming to you from Florida's 14th Congressional District. Do want to thank you so much for listening, and please follow me on Twitter at Joe4FL14. That's at Joe, the number 4, FL14. Now, what I am going to talk about today, I did not want to, because the subject has been talked about a lot, which is understandable, and I'll reveal it in a moment, and you'll understand what I mean. Now, one of the reasons that I do what I do these podcasts, is because I want to present an angle that nobody is talking about. It's easy to jump on the train and go wherever that takes you. But if you look a little closer, you can usually find something that, again, not a lot of people are talking about. And so with this particular event, okay, climate scientist extraordinaire and everybody's favorite socialist, Bernie Sanders, of course, came out and tied Hurricane Harvey to climate change. Now, a lot of speculation that the burn is going to jump in to the 2020 race. Why not? Let's get all the socialists from the Democrat Party in there. The burn, there is a lot of speculation. Princess Hiawatha herself is going to jump in. The junior senator from California, Kamala Harris, has already tossed out a single-payer health system. Her campaign's over. Okay, I have news for you. And I am going to tell you why her campaign is over before it even started. I am going to do that sometime in the next couple days. And if you're wondering, no, I am not going to evacuate for Irma. It looks like Irma's going to buzz the eastern coast of Florida. And so we here probably get some rain, some tropical storm, force-like conditions and that, but nothing like our poor folks on the eastern side are going to get. And, this is really the last thing they need because, some areas that were hard hit by Matthew last year still have not fully recovered. So the last thing they need is Irma stopping by for a visit. Now, of course, Irma and Harvey are both climate change. I mean, it's indisputable. The climate science, climate change deniers. The nails are in your coffin. As Lee Corso on ESPN likes to say, not so fast, my friend, because we are going to have Sherman set the Wayback Machine twice today. Yes, we're going to double your fun. So, first, he's going to go to 1958. And we are going to talk first about Typhoon Ida. Now, in terms of overall strength, okay, Typhoon Ida is number 3 on the list. Typhoon Ida, 1958. When a lot of people talk about climate change, 1958. Now, Ida was tied with Hurricane Patricia, 2015. But again, I want to focus on Ida, okay, because now Ida had sustained winds of 200 miles an hour. Okay? She hit Mexico at a Cat 5, becoming only the second Pacific hurricane to make landfall as a Cat 5. Now, we're going to reload the Wayback Machine for 1961. Typhoon Violet. Sustained winds 207 miles an hour. 1961. Again, not a lot of people talking about climate change in 1961. Also in 1961, the most powerful typhoon ever, Typhoon Nancy, winds at 213 miles an hour. Now, there is some controversy with Nancy because, the thinking is that maybe the wind speeds weren't reliable, the readings weren't reliable, or maybe they were exaggerated. Even so, Nancy's pressure was at a low 882 millibars. If I'm not mistaken, Irma's still over 900. But now the amazing thing about Nancy is that she stayed a Cat 5 hurricane for 5.5 days. 1961. Now, I want to draw your attention to a couple more things here. Okay, now we have Typhoon Tip. Now, Typhoon Tip, highest winds there, 190 miles an hour. But this was a very intense storm because its pressure was a world record 870 millibars. She is also the largest cyclone ever observed. Okay? At her peak, she was almost 1,400 miles wide. Half the United States. 1979. At the very beginning of the whole climate change hysteria, because keep in mind that it was 1977, I believe, when Newsweek told us we were all going to freeze to death, okay? And keep in mind, folks, that over the 40-year history of first global cooling, then global warming, and now climate change, not a one of their predictions has ever come true. They've been wrong each and every time. Don't buy the hysteria. Be critical, be skeptical, ask questions, find out for yourself. Because the media is going to lie to you. Bernie Sanders is going to lie to you. When I asked Bernie Sanders in response to his Harvey claim, was the 1900 hurricane that wiped out Galveston, was that related to climate change too? He didn't answer me. I wonder why. So, again, people, be skeptical, be critical, ask questions. If something doesn't look right to you, probably isn't. Now, we have a number of big storms that have come, again, before all of this, climate nonsense took hold, okay? So I'm just going to read some of these names here, and I'll give you the dates. Okay, Typhoon Amy, 1971, 172 mile an hour winds, pressure 890 millibars. Again, pretty low. You had Typhoon Ida, 1954, 173 mile an hour winds, 890 millibars. You had Typhoon Rita in the Pacific, 175 mile an hour winds. Excuse me. The pressure, 880 millibars. That was one intense storm. Okay? You had Typhoon June, 1975. 185 mile an hour winds. 875 millibars of pressure. That was one intense monster. So again, when you hear people talk about climate change with Harvey and with Irma, don't believe it. It is a lie. Because the entire climate change movement, it's not about saving the earth. Bernie Sanders couldn't care less about saving the earth. Neither could Leo DiCaprio. George Clooney, he doesn't care. Bill Nye? Bill Nye's not even a scientist. He's a mechanical engineer. Okay? When asked for evidence on man-made climate change, he couldn't provide any. Okay? People, ask questions. Be critical. Because let me tell you something. You're not crazy. You're not wrong. There are many people out there who are thinking the same thing you are, but are too scared to admit it. Don't be. Look at me. Okay? I'm out here saying unpopular things. And you know what? I'm not going to stop. Because these things need to be said. People need to hear these things. Now, I couldn't care less if you agree or not. Because as Ben Shapiro so rightly and accurately stated, I don't care about your feelings. I don't. What I want to do with these podcasts, the reason I am doing them, is to present an angle that I do not feel is being told or being told enough. When it comes to Harvey and Irma being climate change, call BS, because these people have a 40-year history of failure. And again, when you look at the three most powerful storms on record, 1958, 1961, 1961, that whole climate change argument disintegrates. Thank you for listening.